Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Good day, depending on wherever you are watching from. So here we are again on Easy Research Talks, as we normally do. And I would like to start today's session with an apology for not showing up last week. That was because there was no energy. So I thought, Habibi Walid, how are you? Thanks for joining us on Instagram. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you are doing fine. So today again, we are back to discuss another important topic. As the notice have shown, that we are going to be talking about understanding and avoiding drama. I think this is an important topic, even though I put on Facebook there, avoiding drama on Facebook. It is not only on Facebook or any social media that we come across drama. You will agree with me that drama, which is usually as a result of conflict, is something that we can't do away with, right? Conflict is everywhere. It is only that on social media, people tend to be more dramatic about conflict. And it has gotten to a point whereby people are now, becoming so violent about conflict. And sometimes getting to the point of reminding themselves, becoming a case of the legal cases whereby people are going to court and, charging themselves to court, reminding each other, jailing each other. So, and I thought that that's actually a wrong use or a misuse of the energy of conflict, because if we understand conflict, we will know that every conflict comes as a result, or conflict is generally the gap between what we are experiencing and what we want. And that gap usually comes with a type of energy, right? So if we use this energy well, it can also be a source of creativity and productivity, improvement, knowledge, and all of those good stuff. But in the case where we are misusing the energy, it then turns to drama, right? And it becomes a reason for us to, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Ridwan. Thanks for joining us again. So it becomes a reason for us to intimidate each other, to blame each other, to separate, to cut relationship and all of that. So the discussion today is an attempt to probably explain the reason why there is conflict, that every relationship is prone to have conflict, right? Because diversity is a natural thing, right? We all look differently. We understand life differently. Our approach of reasoning are different. Our preferences are different. And all this diversity are meant to lead to conflict, right? So when we have this conflict and we handle it with compassion, we handle it with understanding, it can also lead to improvement in our relationship. But in the case where there is no compassion, in the case where we do not understand each other, or we don't have the intention of understanding each other, then it leads to drama, and drama does nothing but destroy, right? So that's why we want to have this discussion today. And before we go on and understand why compassion, because most of us, we tend to see compassion as a feeling or an emotion, and not seeing it for what it is, as a skill, an essential skill that you can actually train yourself to have, something that you can learn, and something that you can always, be aware of and apply whenever you find yourself in any form of conflict. So, and that's what we are going to be doing today. So, but then before we go on into the discussion on compassion, I would briefly want to discuss like the form of drama that we normally see on social media, in particular Facebook. If you look at it, you will notice that there are usually three types of people in any form of drama that you see around you. And like I said, it's not only on social media, it could be the drama at workplace, in our family, in our relationship, in our marriages, in our connections with friends and family members, and between parents and children, right? We all have this conflict once in a while, or even every time in some people's cases. So when this conflict happen, right? When we have conflict, and it tends to drama because of the predictable way of handling it, because of the way people react to what is going on, there are usually three forms of roles that we can play, or three forms of people that enjoy this drama. So this idea is coming from a book that I recently completed. The book is titled Conflict Without Casualties. And the author was explaining that conflict is a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. When you are in conflict, if you handle it well, you can end up, improve yourself because of the conflict. You can end up improve your relationship, connect more, and even get to know more things about each other, right? So now, what are the three roles that people tends to play, roles that people tends to misuse the energy that comes out of conflict? The first one is the prosecutor role, and the second one is the victim role, while the third one is the rescuer role. People that are joining us on Facebook, I would like to welcome you. Thank you for joining. You are all welcome. I want to encourage you all to help us share the program, make sure it goes viral. And so by doing so, you are going to be benefiting someone, like I always say. So I was saying that there are three roles that people play in every conflict that makes conflict turns to drama. And I said that drama is not something productive. It's not something that is useful. It destroys, it separates people. And I don't mean the kind of drama that we watch on TV. I don't mean the dramas that we see in theater, right? I'm talking about drama whereby people tend to hold up to a particular role, a predictable way of behaving or responding to a conflict, right? So the prosecutors are those that have the mentality of, I'm okay, I'm right, others are wrong, right? So if you notice in every conflict, there are those that believe that, okay, they are the only people that are right. The idea is the only right one, is the only correct idea. And because of that, they see reasons in judging the others, or in, blaming them, or in hurting them, or in, intimidating them, right? Because they believe that they are right, right? And the reason why people think this way could be because of the position they are holding, right? If you are in the position of a leader, for example, a father might see himself as a prosecutor because, of course, I'm your father, and then because of that, I am justified to maltreat a child, to beat the child, and just not talk to the child, and just always complain and blame the child for whatever they do. And sometimes it could be because of their exposure or because of the training they have. Some of us have just been trained that whenever you have the proof, or you have the better judgment or the better reasoning, that gives you right to intimidate people and blame people and label people. Right? Those are prosecutors because they are on the right path, because they have the right reason. They see reason to maltreat people and say whatever they like to people. We see all of these people every time every now and then on social media. We see them even in our offline relationship as well. If you agree with me, let me know. If you've ever played the role of a prosecutor, or you have ever been a victim of a prosecutor in any victim or in any misunderstanding. The second type of people, or the second type of role that people play is the victim role. So the victim role are those that validate the role of the prosecutor. So the victims are those that believe that, yeah, I am not right. I'm not okay. Others are okay. So because of this reasoning, because of this mentality, they see themselves as not worthy. They agree or accept whatever people say to them. And that could be the reason why sometimes people remain in some unhealthy relationship, in some violent relationship, because they already agree that they are the wrong. They are wrong. They do not have. They are not worthy of respect. They are not. They don't have the right to have, self-dignity and stuff like that. So a child can be trained to have a victim mentality, that a child could never have a right to have an opinion, something like that. The kind of training that we give to children sometimes, or even women sometimes might maintain a relationship because, or might stay in a marriage because, yeah, I'm the woman, I'm supposed to always take the blame, something like that. Whenever a child is misbehaving, it's the fault of the mother, this kind of mentality. And then the last role that people also play in a conflict is the rescuer role. Those people that believe in the idea of, you all are not okay, but you are going to be okay if you let me help you. So these people, they feed on conflict, right? They try to rescue the people that are involved in the conflict, the people that are involved in the misunderstanding. So they do things like, I can't believe this guy said this thing to you. Depending on whichever side they try to take, they fuel the conflict, and this is exactly the reason why conflict usually leads to drama. They are the one that will call in and say, you should not agree. You should make sure this thing goes to court. You should make sure that you revenge, stuff like that. You see people say things like this whenever there is a misunderstanding. So these people are the rescuer. And the idea is that these three roles, thank you, Prince Olateju Olabode, for your comment on Facebook. So these three people actually feed on drama. They have vested interest in it because they validate themselves with the drama or the misunderstanding that is ongoing. The prosecutor, like I said, enjoyed judging people and arresting and policing and blaming people and intimidating people because they feel that's how they validate who they are. While the victim, they just accept whatever is thrown at them because they don't see the reason why they should have a voice and they should be heard and they should, reject. They tend to avoid the conflict. Meanwhile, avoiding conflict sometimes is also a conflict on its own because most of the time, what we do is we divert the energy wrongly, right? Because the fact that you do not have voice, or the fact that you can't say your voice out, you can't express yourself, does not mean you don't have a voice. And so what happens is that you lose yourself because you have been told that you are not worthy, and then you believe it over time, right? You can't stand up for yourself anymore. And that's also a conflict on its own. And the rescuer, they are the fuelers of problems. They are always, regardless of who they decide to follow, they can decide to follow the right or the left, and then they see reason why the drama should continue. And I'm sure you guys must have seen or heard something like this, whereby you are in a misunderstanding with somebody and another person comes to you and be like, you know what, this is what you should have said to the person. even sometimes things that you do not actually, you know, take for it, you don't feel offended by it. These rescuer people will come to you and make you see reasons why you should misunderstand the person, or you should react in a negative way and all that. So let me bring it back to where I started from, that the energy that comes from conflict should not be misused, because in reality, we can't do away with conflict. There's no way you want to avoid conflict in totality. Exactly. Alhaj Mansour is saying that because these people derive pleasure in conflict, they enjoy it, they live on it, right? So, and they are dangerous, right? They are dangerous. If you don't have a voice of your own, it's dangerous. And if you depend on what others are telling you, or the rescuer, people that believe that they don't worry, we will help you handle it, I will help you face this person, it's also dangerous, because of course they will overreact, of course they will mishandle and mismanage the situation, right? So, and I'm saying that every conflict does not necessarily have to lead to drama, right? Conflict does not necessarily have to separate us, or be the reason why we cut a relationship, because every good thing we enjoy, every advancement, every development is as a result of conflict, right? Look at all the knowledge that we enjoy today, every theory out there, right? For those of us that are in the world of research, it's as a result of conflict, because somebody said something and another person did not believe in it, and they continue researching, and over time they will bring out a new thing. Or like for Muslims that are listening to me, all the ideas, all the arguments in the Quran would never have come to be if, let's say, the prophet was welcomed and accepted the moment he brought the message of Islam. So you will see the Quran, talking about, and the non-believers say this, and then this is why we do this, and then these people did this. Even if you look at the hadiths and seerahs of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will see that we were able to appreciate his leadership skills, his personality, and all of that because of the conflict that he faced. So conflict usually brings good things if we manage it well, right? So there's a benefit in conflict, but it has to be managed with compassion. And that's where the crux of our discussion today is going to be on. So what is compassion? If you look at compassion literally, the meaning of the word actually, it's actually, according to dictionary, it's a French word which means to suffer together, right? To suffer together. That's what compassion means. So, but the way we use the word is as if we understand compassion as passion, like a feeling, but it's more than that. It's a skill. So compassion is all about three things. Compassion is all about openness, resourcefulness, and persistence, right? Exactly. Alhaj Mansour is saying that difference in opinion creates rooms for knowledge, research. I agree with you, right? If there is no difference in opinion, there is not going to be the need for us to continue doing research. And without the need to continue doing research, there is not going to be advancement in knowledge, right? And it's not just research, even innovations. If you all agree that everything we have now is complete and is good, so there's not going to be growth in our society, in our civilization. So conflict is always drive development, advancement. That's the argument I'm bringing forward today. And if you agree with me, let me know. If you do not agree, I hope we are not going to have a conflict over that if you don't agree with me. But yeah, I hope you guys agree with me. So let me see your comment if you agree with me that conflict does not necessarily have to be a negative thing. Yes, there's always going to be misunderstanding, We are always going to see things differently. We are always going to be having different preferences, right? Our understanding are always going to be at different levels. But does that mean we should hate each other? Does that mean we should blame each other? Does that mean we should separate from each other? I think no. So how do we manage this conflict whenever we see it in our relationship? It is by having compassion, right? Compassion. So what is compassion? That's what we want to discuss today. And I said compassion is all about three things. Compassion has to do with openness. Compassion has to do with resourcefulness. And compassion has to do with persistence, right? So if you take it back to the three roles that I explained earlier on, every one of us that play this role of prosecutor, the police on social media, looking for people that, that do not have the same level of knowledge with you, or that do not believe the same way like you, or that do not support the same political movement or political party like you, and you see reasons why you should blame them, you should intimidate them, I want you to come closer and listen to this. And the victims, people that play the role of victim too, that agree to what people are saying to them, you know what? Yeah, these guys know better than me, so because of that, I deserve to be molested. I deserve to be disrespected, and because of that, you avoid conflict. I also want you to listen. And the third role, which is the rescuer, those people that engage in the unsolicited help. They try to help people. They give them reasons and solutions on how to undo conflict, usually in a way that complicates things further. Take it to court, fight him, do this and do that. There are ways to help people in conflict, and the best way to do that is to do it with compassion. So compassion, like I said, is all about openness, persistence, and resourcefulness. So what do I mean by openness? If you are a prosecutor, because of the role that you play, or because you are, sometimes prosecutors are who they are because they are just perplexed. They don't have other means of solving the situation because people don't understand them. When you have been saying things, or you find yourself in a situation whereby you have been saying same thing to a particular person repeatedly, and you feel like your voice is not being heard, right? And then you see the reason why you should probably go into violence, and you should intimidate, and you should disrespect. You can actually adopt you could actually be resourceful. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could be resourceful. So what is resourceful? It is by providing information, providing help, for people to realize what you want to make them understand. So you see people around these days, especially teachers, or preachers, right? They are trying to do good. They are trying to teach. They are trying to lecture and make people understand things in a particular way, but they are not being resourceful. So the way they are going about things is actually, is destroying the outcome or the goal of their purpose. I hope I'm making sense. So when you are not being resourceful as a prosecutor, as somebody that know better, as a leader, as a teacher, as a father, then you will be, driving conflict, misusing the energy of the conflict. So being resourcefulness is providing as much as possible information, providing other ways of understanding things or explaining things, right? So I always tell people that, okay, especially people from Nigeria that are listening to me, I hope you agree with me on this. Like, you see a lot of people, many of us, we are, even though you go to Arabic school, you have your Sanawiya certificate, it doesn't mean that you are a first user of Arabic language. And here we have the Quran written in Arabic, right? And then the the other sources of Islamic jurisprudence is also written in Arabic. So we have people that only few of them have been to Arabic school, learn it and actually understand it in the real sense of it and understand the culture of it. So prosecutors are those that will now, because of the knowledge they have, condemn those people that do not have this similar exposure like them. You come out and condemn people and banish them, condemn them to hellfire without providing, resources for them, providing information for better understanding. Like, how many people is doing like interpreting the Quran in a proper way in Yoruba language, for example, or Igbo language or Hausa language, like providing content on the interpretation of Quran, for example, or other sources of Islamic jurisprudence. We don't have it. So we are not yet in the level whereby we will condemn people or blame people or judge them. We just have to continue trying to provide enough resource for understanding. Yeah, and that's just my own advice. Or I hope that example is relevant enough. For the victim, those that always feel like, yeah, they said I'm going to hellfire, so they said I'm not good enough. I'm a woman, I should accept whatever condition I found myself in. I am from Nigeria, I am from Africa, I am supposed to be poor, and all this victim mentality can actually be expressed in different ways. So what you should do is to be open to your weaknesses. Understand that you don't have enough knowledge. Understand that you have the weakness and you are trying to work on it. But that does not mean that you do not deserve to be respected. You don't deserve to be validated, right? So you have to be open to your weaknesses. You have to understand that, yeah, I don't have the knowledge. Yeah, I might not be on the right path. I might be making this mistake, but you are still human being. And every human being deserves dignity. You should not be disrespected. And wherever you find yourself in a situation where you are being disrespected, you should always try to speak up. Try to make your opinion known without disrespecting back. Yeah, I hope I'm making sense. I hope the idea is clear enough. And for the rescuer, right, those people that always like validate prosecutors, the people that condemn people, they try to do things like, he started it, he abused so person, that's why this person is deserved to be abused or disrespected. I've seen people say stuff like this on social media, like, the reason why I would disrespect you is because you have disrespected the other person. It is not a compassionate way of handling conflict. Better, you could be persistent, show action, like how things should be done properly. Or you can also be resourceful, like let people ask for your help before you decide to give that help, right? So don't intervene in any conflict without your help being sought after. Don't take control of people's story because you are there when it happened. It does not necessarily give you the total control of people's story. And then you want to decide who is at fault or who is right or who is wrong, right? So this is where, if we are able to be compassionate enough, we'll be able to use the energy of conflict productively. Right? So you hear people say something like, when you face problem in your relationship and the problem does not drive you apart, this kind of relationship usually end up to be stronger. You come back stronger. And that's because they are compassionate in their conflict. So, and I hope everyone listening to me today is able to get one or two things out of this discussion, that how to be compassionate is a skill that everybody can learn, right? In every conflict, either you are a part of it or you are just witnessing the conflict. Try as much as possible to be open. if you are the victim, if you are the wrong one, admit what you have done wrongly, and then still understand that you have the right to be respected, right? And also, if you are respected, the other people also deserve to be respected. If you want people to respect you, the best way to do it is to respect others, to protect others' dignity, right? I don't know how we have gotten to the place whereby people, seek attention by destroying other people's image and other people's dignity. It's really, really destroying. I think it's more distracting than at the same time destroying. Yeah, it's destructive and distracting, because you see people, brilliant people that are supposed to be educating and sharing information that they have, but they are being distracted discussing conflict issues, why this person should go to jail, why the other person should be reminded in court. People leaving the main issues, information that they should be sharing, and knowledge that they should be sharing with people to discuss conflict. It shouldn't be so, all right? So it's because we find it easy. We are so comfortable to disrespect people nowadays, like to destroy people's image, people's dignity, and all in the name of fighting respect for ourselves. People do all of those stuff, and if you ask them why you are doing this, why you are saying these things about the other people, you will say, because I want to be respected, or I want to be known, or I want to show them that I also have the knowledge. That's not how to display knowledge. You can't display knowledge by destroying people's image. It doesn't work that way. You can't enlighten people by destroying people's image, right? So it's a misplace of priority, if I can say that. And the second thing is that when we go wrong, we must always try to accept to make exactly. Thank you, Lagata. My brother, Mr. Gafar Ola Fimiho, is saying that when we go wrong, we should be able to accept and make corrections. Exactly. That's how to be open, right? That's how to be compassionate, right? That you accept your mistake doesn't mean that you are no human, right? It doesn't take anything away from you, right? In fact, it makes you more human, because you understand the error or the harm that you have caused the other person, right? So the second thing is the prosecutor, those that actually have the intention of making good, educating people, because prosecutors are actually very responsible people. They want to see change happen in society. The only problem sometimes is that the way they are going about it. So I'm saying today that if you want to make more impact in the society, you just have to learn how to be resourceful, learn how to educate people. And I always say that to be honest in our communication, by clarifying things, re-explaining and explaining things again and again to people, instead of blaming them, instead of intimidating them, instead of disrespecting them. We have to learn how to be resourceful. When we are resourceful, we should also be persistent, because one thing is to show the information, is to let people know that what you are doing or what you are thinking is wrong. Then can you show them the right way? There's another way of doing it. Like, a lot of people don't pay attention in showing people how things are done, but they are only focusing on condemning and banishing them. Yeah. So if you look around, a lot of people that misbehave could be because they don't have other things to do. They don't have, like, if you are condemning that there are young boys around doing fraudulent activities and all of those stuff, perhaps they don't know better. So being resourceful is providing opportunity for them to learn the best way to use their time, and show them, like, what are the effort that we are putting in place to show them that if you do this, it can end, you can earn you this, you can end up become this and that. Nobody is doing that. All we are doing is arresting and, jailing them. And it's not being compassionate. Being compassionate is teaching people. Being compassionate is showing them the better way to do things, right? And same thing goes to all the form of drama that we come across on social media and off social media. That's that 5 minutes. And that's where I will switch my tongue to Yoruba language, because like I've been doing for the past 3 sessions, I've been trying to combine between English for my English audience and Yoruba to my Yoruba audience. So all I'm discussing today, that's English. In terms of learning, ó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú drama tí a máa ń bá pàdé yálà lórí social media ni àbí ní àárín ìbáṣepọ̀ tó wà láàrin ara wa nílé ni, láàrin bàbá àtọmọ, ọkọ àti ìyàwó, ọ̀gá àtọmọṣẹ́, àbí èyí tó bá wù kó jẹ́ nínú àwọn olùbálò wa. Kò sí tàbí ṣùgbọ́n pé ní èdè àìyedè máa wà lẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan. Èèyàn á máa ṣíra èèyàn gbọ́, èèyàn á dẹ̀ máa ní gbọ́n mi sí omi òtó lẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan. Á máa ṣẹlẹ̀ láàrin gbogbo ẹni tí èèyàn bá ti ń bá lò. Gbogbo ìbálò kọ̀ọ̀kan ló ní opportunity láti ní conflict, kí conflict ṣẹlẹ̀ láàrin wọn. So àwọn sọ wípé ní tí conflict bá ṣẹlẹ̀, tí èdè àìyedè bá ń ṣẹlẹ̀ láàrin wa, àbí tí àìgbọ́ra ẹni yé bá ń ṣẹlẹ̀, kò túmọ̀ sí pé dandan ni kó lead sí pé à ń bára wa jà, àbí àtorí ẹ̀ à bára wa ṣe mọ́, àbí àtorí ẹ̀ à ń búra wa, à ń bára wa lórúkọ jẹ́, à ń fọlọ́pàá léra wa káàkiri. Torí pé bọ́lọ́run ṣe dáyé, Ọlọ́run dá ayé pẹ̀lú pé kí ìyàtọ̀ máa wà láàrin wa, a fojú jọra wa tán, a fi èdè jọra wa, a fi ìwà jọra wa, a fi ìròrí àti ìrònú jọra wa. So ìgbà tí yẹn bá ti wà, dandan ni kí a máa ní àsìkò àbí àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ kan tá à ní gbọ́ra wáyé lórí ẹ̀. So tó bá ti wá ń ṣẹlẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn, tó bá ń ṣẹlẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀, tá a bá ṣe wá manage àìgbọ́ra wáyé yẹn ló máa wá lead sí pé ṣé ó di ń tà ń jà lé lórí, ó di ń tà ń bara wọn lórúkọ jẹ́ lé lórí ni, àbí ó di ń tó máa tún so wá pọ̀, tá a tún máa wá fi di ọ̀rẹ́ lẹ́yìn tá a bá gbọ́ra wáyé tán. Torí pé méjèèjì ló lè ṣẹlẹ̀. So kí ló lè fà á tó ṣe wípé èdè àìyedè á ṣẹlẹ̀? Látara èdè àìyedè yìí, ìyẹn á tún wá padà di ọ̀rẹ́ tímọ́tímọ́, ìyẹn á tún wá padà wá, ìbáṣepọ̀ yẹn á tún padà wá súnmọ́ra wọn. Òun ni tí a bá fi ìjẹ́ èèyàn àbí a bá fi àánú tá a bá fi bára wa lò. Ó ṣeé ṣe ká pè ní ìjẹ́ èèyàn, compassion, àbí ká pè ní àánú, kíyàn rí pé lágbájá ìtorí pà ń jà kò sọ ẹ́ dẹranko, kò dí ìjẹ́ èèyàn ẹ kù, àbí torí pé àgbọ́ra wáyé kò sọ ẹ́ di òpònú, kò sọ ẹ́ di aláìnílàákàyè, àkọ́ gbọ́ra wáyé ni. So mo á ní ká tó ṣàlàyé pé báwo la ṣe máa fi ìgbọ́ra ẹni yé àti àánú yanjú èdè àìyedè tí èèyàn bá ní. Ká kọ́kọ́ ṣàlàyé àwọn èdè àìyedè eléyìí tó ṣe pé ó gbajúmọ̀ lórí social media lẹ́jọ́ mẹ́ta yìí, tí àwọn èèyàn wá sọ di bàbàrà torí pé àgbọ́ra wáyé, torí pé mi rò bá kan ìwọ rò bá mi, àwọn wá sọ di bàbàrà débi pé wàhálà ní gbogbo ìgbà. Ó wá di pé ẹlòmíì tó lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ kan tó ṣe pé ó lè máa fi kọ́ àwọn èèyàn, ó fẹ́ kọ́ yẹn lẹ̀ kó káwọn èèyàn mọ́. Ẹlòmíì tó gbẹ́sìn yé tó yẹ pé ó lè máa fi kọ́ àwọn èèyàn, ó fẹ́ sìn yẹn lẹ̀ kó kọ́ àwọn èèyàn mọ́. Ọ̀rọ̀ ìjà yìí náà ni ṣá, máa sọ ẹ́ sẹ́wọ̀n, wàá sọ mí sẹ́wọ̀n, wàá wẹ̀wọ̀n, wàá oníṣẹ́wọ̀n. Ẹlòmíì á tún ṣépè fúnra wọn lórí ẹ̀. So kí ló fà á tó fi rí bẹ́ẹ̀? Nítorí pé àwọn èèyàn naturally yẹn enjoy drama yẹn ni. Ó ti dàbí ìgbà tí èèyàn bá ń wo fíìmù àgbéléwò, fáwọn tó ń wà nínú ẹ̀ àti fáwọn tá à ń wò wọ́n. Mo wá ní mẹ́ta ni gbogbo àwa tá wà lórí social media, mẹ́ta ni wá. Àwọn kan wà iṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá làwọn ń ṣe, wọ́n ń wọ́ ẹni tó jẹ̀bi ẹni tó jàre kiri. àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá iṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá ti gba iṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá lórí social media, àwọn eléyìí wọ́n ṣáà máa wá pé ó jẹ̀bi ó jàre, iṣẹ́ táwọn ń wá kiri nìyẹn. Alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ nìyẹn. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì ni àwọn tó ṣe wípé nípa pé bóyá wọn ò nímọ̀ tó àwọn tó gbaṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá, àbí nípa pé ohun wọn ò ga sókè tó àwọn tí wọ́n gbaṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá, àwọn ti gba ẹ̀bi ara wọn, àwọn tó ti gbẹ̀bí ara wọn victim bíi ọ̀daràn, àwọn ti dọ̀daràn lórí social media. So àwọn náà ti wá ń gbégbé sí ayé pé wọ́n kú ti ní àníwàlìjọ́ náà, ẹjá máa báyé wa lọ, wọ́n kú ti ní ànílàákàyè, ẹjá máa bá lọ bẹ́ẹ̀. So ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì nìyẹn. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹta wá ní àwọn agbẹjọ́rò, rescuer, mo lè pè lágbẹjọ́rò, àbí májòbàjẹ́, àwọn májòbàjẹ́ tó tún gbádùn drama. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹta nú àwa tá wà lórí social media nìyẹn. Wọ́n á mú kan nínú àwọn méjì àbí mẹ́ta tó bá ń jà, ẹ má gbà, ẹ jẹ́ á ṣépè fún, ẹ mú lọ sẹ́wọ̀n ni, ẹ má gbàṣẹ́. So ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹta nìyẹn nínú àwọn tí a wà lórí social media, àwọn ọlọ́pàá, àwọn ọ̀daràn àti àwọn májòbàjẹ́. Ṣẹ̀wárà àwọn mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta yìí, à ń gbádùn drama yẹn tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Àmọ́ mo wá ń ṣàlàyé wípé drama yìí aburú tó pọ̀ ló ń dá sílẹ̀. Àkọ́kọ́ ni wípé ó ń fa kí àjọṣepọ̀ kó fàya. Ó tún ń fa kí ìjọmọlúàbí àwọn èèyàn, ó ń gbèjà Alhaji Mansur that's very nice, ó ń gbèjà rescuer àbí olùgbèjà. I love the òǹgbèjà, the rescuers. I think òǹgbèjà, agbọ̀rọ̀dùn, òǹgbèjà, májòbàjẹ́. So gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe ń sọ, àwọn mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta yẹn là ń gbádùn eré orí ìtàgé táwọn èèyàn ń ṣe lórí social media. Gbogbo wa là ń gbádùn ẹ̀, àfẹ́ kó dákẹ́, àfẹ́ kó stop. But aburú tó wà ń bẹ̀ ni wípé ó ń distract wa, ó ń fa òǹpinya láàrin àbáṣepọ̀, ó tún ń ba nǹkan jẹ́. At least àwọn èèyàn ń ba ọmọlúwàbí wọn jẹ́, àwọn èèyàn ń borúkọ ẹbí wọn jẹ́. Ẹlòmíì àmórúkọ ẹbí ẹlòmíì báyìí á dẹ̀ fáyà lójú gbogbo ayé, ara ò dẹ̀ ní ta, kò ní rí bí nǹkan míì torí pé ń jà, torí pé à ń ṣe orí ìtàgé lọ́wọ́. Orí ìtàgé yẹn ń dágbà míì dẹ̀ ní a máa fa ìdí táwọn èèyàn á fi rí yàn tó wọ́n á fi mọ̀yàn pé ẹni yìí òun tún mú lẹ́nu ju lágbájá lọ, tẹ́lẹ̀ ìbá tó bá gbé ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀ máa wò á fẹ́ ya bó ṣe wù ú. Ó lè fa ya tòótọ́, àmọ́ tó bá jẹ́ pé n tó wá ṣe nìyẹn, all well and good. But tó bá jẹ́ pé o ní nǹkan míì tó fẹ́ ṣe, tó bá jẹ́ pé o ní ọ̀rọ̀ míì tó fẹ́ sọ, tó bá jẹ́ pé o lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ míì tó fẹ́ káwọn èèyàn, á bẹ́tà kó wo bí wàá ṣe lè máa handle àwọn àìgbọ́ra ẹni yé tá a máa ṣẹlẹ̀, torí dandan ni kó ṣẹlẹ̀. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe sọ ń bẹ̀rẹ̀, Ọlọ́run ti dá wa nídàá pé ká máa yàtọ̀ síra wa. Tí ìyàtọ̀ bá dẹ̀ ti wà, dandan ni kí conflict wà, ká ìgbọ́ra ẹni yé kó wà. Mo wá ní dandan kọ́ ni ká ìgbọ́ra ẹni yé máa lead sógun, kó máa lead síjà. Torí wípé gbogbo tẹ̀síwájú, gbogbo ẹ̀kọ́ tí à ń rí kọ́ lénìí, gbogbo tẹ̀síwájú tó ń bá àwùjọ wa lénìí, ní títorí conflict ni ló fi ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Tíyàn bá kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó bá ń ṣe research, ó ń ṣe research torí pé lágbájá kọ̀ọ̀kan mi ò gbà ni, mo wá fẹ́ wò pé ṣó tún lè lọ bá mi. Níbi tẹ́mi bá ti ń wò pé ṣó tún lè lọ bá mi, mo lè já sínú ẹ̀kọ́ mi kí tó wá wọn pé ṣé báyìí náà tún ni ní tí gbogbo ẹ̀kọ́ tá ń kọ́ bó ṣe gbà wáyé nìyẹn. Àìgbà fúnra ẹni táwọn ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ò gbà fúnra wọn lẹ̀kọ́ fi ń tẹ̀síwájú. Àìgbà fúnra ẹni táwọn tó ń ṣe nǹkan bíi pé technology ni àbí Alhaji Mansur kí làwọn Yorùbá ń pè ní innovation. Àìgbè fúnra ẹni táwọn creative people àbí innovative people, àwọn tí wọ́n máa ń lo làákàyè láti fi ṣe nǹkan, tí wọ́n gbà fúnra wọn, la fi ń rí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan enjoy. Ẹnìkan ti ṣe fóònù bákan, ó fi bọ́tìnì sí, ẹlòmíì rò pé ṣé dandan ni kó bọ́tìnì wà ń bẹ̀ ni, òun tútù rò bá mi, ẹjá gbé gíláàsì sí gbogbo ẹ̀, a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní screen touch. Ẹnìkan ṣe fóònù, ó fi kámẹ́rà kan sí, ẹlòmíì rò bá mi gbà ṣé kámẹ́rà yẹn ò lè di méjì àbí kó di mẹ́ta ni? A bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní iPhone 13, iPhone 11 àbí iPhone 12. So gbogbo tẹ̀síwájú tá à ń enjoy lénìí, èso àìgbà fúnra ẹni táwọn èèyàn ò gbà fúnra wọn ẹni. So táwa náà bá mọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ pé torí wípé o lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ kan, torí pé onímọ̀ kan, torí pé nǹkan kan yí ẹ, kò sọ pé káwọn èèyàn gbà fún ẹ. Tọ́n bá ti wá gbà fún ẹ, kò sọ wọ́n dọ̀tá ẹ. Dandan kọ́ ni kí wọ́n dọ̀tá, dandan kọ́ ni kẹ́ ẹ dọ̀tá, dandan kọ́ ni kẹ́ ẹ bára yín jà, dandan kọ́ ni kẹ́ ẹ fara yín láṣọ ya, dandan kọ́ ni kẹ́ ẹ fara yín ní orúkọ ya. So ìdí tí ìyàn fi lè gbọ́dọ̀ mọ pàtàkì ìjẹ́ èèyàn àti àánú nígbà tí àìgbọ́ra ẹni yé bá ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nìyẹn. Mo wá ní nǹkan mẹ́ta nìyàn fi máa ń lo ìjẹ́ èèyàn tí àìgbọ́ra ẹni yé bá ti ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ ń bẹ, òun ni nǹkan tẹ́lẹ̀yìnbó ń pè ní openness. Tíyàn bá ṣàṣìṣe àbí tó bá lálébù kan àbí tíyàn bá lábùkù kan, kó nítọ̀hún ní ìgbàmọ́ra láti gbà pé kíní àlébù ni, bí lágbájá ṣe sọ yìí tó tọ́ ni, n tẹ́mi sọ yẹn ò rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Sórí tó bá gbà bẹ́ẹ̀, kò dín nǹkan kan kù lára ẹ̀, kò dín ìjẹ́ èèyàn kù, kò sọ ẹ́ dá lábùkù. So n tó ní àwọn èèyàn lára ni pé n tí mo sọ yìí tí ò rí bẹ́ẹ̀, tí wọ́n sọ pé kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀, báwo ni irú tèmi á ṣe wá sọ nǹkan tí ò fi ní rí bẹ́ẹ̀? N tó ń fàjà nìyẹn o, n tó ń fa gbogbo eré orí ìtàgé tá à ń wò nìyẹn. Torí pé àwọn èèyàn ò ní ìgbàmọ́ra àléébù wọn, ẹlòmíì ò ní gbàmọ́ra àbùkù ẹ̀, ẹlòmíì ò dẹ̀ ní gbàmọ́ra àìtó ìdí ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀, prove ẹ̀ pé n tó lò nídìí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ò bá mu. Ó ṣeé ṣe kó má bá mu, tán bá ní kò bá mu, tẹ́yìn bá fún ẹ nídìí ọ̀rọ̀ míì tó jinlẹ̀ ju tiẹ̀ lọ, ó jẹ́ kó lè gbà á, kò sáburú ń bẹ̀, àbí? Ramota Mommy, is that Ramak? Thank you so much for your comment on the Instagram. So Ramak ẹ ṣeun gan fún kọ́mẹ́ǹtì lórí Instagram. Yeah, alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ nìyẹn. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì wá ní wípé àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá, wọ́n wọṣọ ọlọ́pàá yẹn torí wípé mo mí ní ọlọ́pàá bí ọlọ́pàá o, wọ́n ń ṣiṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá, wọ́n gbaṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá. So wọ́n ń ṣiṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá yẹn nítorí pé wọ́n ní mímọ̀ ní tòótọ́, àbí torí wípé wọ́n rá burú tí wọ́n fẹ́ kọ̀. Ó máa ń ṣẹlẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ dáadáa tó yẹ pé ní ẹlòmíà gba iṣẹ́ prosecutor pé ìwọ yìí tó ń ṣe yóò dá. Wọ́n á dẹ̀ nígboyà àti sọ bẹ́ẹ̀, àbí nítorí pé wọ́n lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀, nítorí pé wọ́n ní ọ̀làjú bẹ́ẹ̀, nítorí pé wọ́n ní ohun àti ìgbà ayé àti ṣe. Àmọ́ aburú tó wà níbẹ̀ ni bí wọ́n ṣe ń ṣe. Nítorí pé o lẹ́kọ̀ọ́, nítorí pé olọ́làjú kan kò sọ pé kó fáṣọ àwọn èèyàn yá àbí kó fáṣọ ìjọmọlúàbí wọn yá. In tó yẹ kó ṣe ni pé wàá fún wọn ní in táwọn lẹ́yìn mò ń pè ní resourcefulness, and being resourceful, láti wà resourceful, òun ni kíyàn lè ṣàánú àwọn èèyàn láti fi ọ̀rọ̀ hàn wọ́n pé bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe rí kọ́lórì bó ṣe yẹ kó rí rèé. Àlàyé nìyẹn máa ń ṣe fáwọn èèyàn tí èdè àìyedè bá ti wáyé, èébú kọ́ ló kàn. Pàtàkì jùlọ lọ́dọ̀ àwọn èèyàn tó ṣe wípé ìwọ náà mọ̀ pé wọn ní mímọ̀ yìí tó ẹ. Ó ṣeé ṣe kẹ́yẹ́ pẹ̀lú míì ó láti rìnrìn àjò lọ sílùú míì ni tó fi ní mímọ̀ yẹn. Ìwọ ti lọ bẹ̀, ó lọ kọ́kẹ́ ọdún 8 àbọ̀ ọdún 10 àbọ̀ ọdún 15, àwa dé, ó wá kọ̀ ní gbogbo yín yẹ làkàyè, gbogbo yín yẹ ẹ̀gbọ́n. Àwọn ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀, wàá ṣàlàyé ní tó kọ́ yẹn fún wọn. Wàá ṣàlàyé ní ṣàlàyé pé tí wọ́n á fẹ́ gbọ́ ẹ. Torí pé tó bá ti dé tó gbégbéraga dé, àwọn náà ò ní fẹ́ gbọ́. Bí a ṣe ti sọ sí ẹ̀yìn pé ní àwọn èèyàn tó máa ń takoyàn, wọ́n ń dédé takoyàn, gbogbo èèyàn tó ń takoyàn láyé, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn ń takoyàn nítorí pé n tó ń sọ ò rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Àwọn èèyàn á máa takò ẹ́ nítorí wípé wọn ò nígbàgbọ́ sí ìdí tó fi ń sọ. N tí mo mì ní pé tí máa ń sọ fún yín pé báyìí ni nǹkan rí, ó ṣeé ṣe kẹ́yìn náà mọ̀ pé báyìí ni, bọ́tẹ́ bá mọ̀ pé mò ń sọ láti tàbùkù yín, àbí mò ń sọ tí mò ń sọ yẹn láti jẹ́ kẹ́ mọ̀ pé ẹ̀yin ò gbọ́n tó mi, mo fẹ́ sọ kẹ́ lè mọ̀ pé èmi ni mo gbọ́n jù, ẹ̀ ní gbà sí mi lẹ́nu. So ìdí tí àwọn èèyàn fi ń tako àwọn prosecutor, àwọn ọlọ́pàá orí social media, kò ń ṣe pé torí pé ń tọ́ ń sọ ò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ o, àmọ́ ní títorí wípé bọ́n ṣe ń sọ. So ẹni tó bá fẹ́ tún àwọn èèyàn ṣe, o gbọ́dọ̀ lè fìrẹ̀ wálẹ̀, you have to be humble láti ṣàlàyé ọ̀rọ̀ fáwọn èèyàn. Tó bá ṣe lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ tí wọ́n bá gbọ́yé tútúnṣe bíyàn ṣe ń parí ìjà nìyẹn. Kò ń ṣe pé ní kò wá ní ṣé mi ti sọ fún yín pé lágbẹ́já ògbọ́n kò mà nílà káì yẹni tó sọ báyìí ni thank you Hassan Sheikh Hassan Nuruddin, thank you so much for your comment. So ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì nìyẹn. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹta wá ń kọ́, èèyàn ò wá ní dádúró síbẹ̀. Gbogbo àwọn kí lálájí pé wọ́n, àwọn òǹgbèjà, olùgbèjà, agbọ̀rọ̀dùn, ẹ̀yin náà kú iṣẹ́ kékeré kọ́ ni kíyàn pètè báyìí kó dẹ̀rẹ́ ni máa wò ó, kó dẹ̀rẹ́ ni máa pè òun. Ẹlòmíà tún pé wọ́n máa ṣe wákàtí 8, wákàtí 4, wákàtí 6, wọ́n á dúró síbẹ̀, iṣẹ́ ni. So àmọ́ ohun tó yẹ kẹ́ ṣe ni pé báwo la ṣe máa ran àwọn tí wọ́n gbọ́ wáyé yìí lọ́wọ́, báwo la ṣe máa ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́ lẹ́yìn tíyàn bá amen same to you, ẹ ṣe àtẹ̀yìn náà. So tíyàn bá ṣàlàyé ọ̀rọ̀ fáwọn èèyàn, persistence mean pé ẹjẹ́ á tún fi hàn wọ́n pé ń tà ń sọ leléyìí, a ṣàlàyé pé ń tẹ́ ń ṣe yìí ò rí bẹ́ẹ̀, wọn ò gbọ́yé náà. Báwo la ṣe máa wá fi hàn wọ́n pé ń tà ń sọ leléyìí? Bí tíyàn bá wà ní school tó máa kọ́yàn theory, wọ́n á tún kọ́yàn practical. So practical, for example, lápèjúwe, in tó máa ń sábà díjà lẹ́jù lórí social media òjọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀sìn lọ. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa ń ṣàlàyé ẹ̀sìn ni, kò sẹ́ni tó ń fẹ̀sìn àwọn èèyàn. In tí ò jẹ́ kán gbà nìyẹn, in tí gbogbo eré orí ìtàgé ìfipọ̀ nìyẹn. Ẹ̀sìn ó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú àánú, ẹ̀sìn ó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ìbáṣepọ̀, ẹ̀sìn ó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ìdáàbòbò ọmọlúàbí èèyàn. Téèyàn bá faṣọ ìjọmọlúàbí ti ẹ̀yà, ìwọ fẹ̀sìn hàn wọ́n láti ṣàpọ́nlé fún wọn padà. Persistence nìyẹn. Àbí kẹ́ ran àwọn tí wọ́n ń jà lọ́wọ́ láti jẹ́ kó mọ̀ pé irọ́, ẹ má jà, ẹ má fàáyà, ẹ má túkà. So ẹlòmíà ní kí ló dé tá máa fi ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀? Ìdí tá máa fi ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wípé gbogbo ń tẹ́ ń fà tẹ́ ń jà lé lórí, ó ń kọdí àǹfààní tó yẹ kẹ́ máa ṣe fáwọn èèyàn. Tíyàn bá ń jà tí ó tó sọ di drama, tí àìgbọ́ra ẹni yé bá ṣẹlẹ̀, tíyàn bá wá jẹ́ kó wọ drama, mi mọ̀ tí Yorùbá ń pè ní drama àbí tí mo lè pè ní drama Yorùbá, but tíyàn bá jẹ́ kó wọ drama, in tó máa ń fà ní pé ní látara ẹ̀ nǹkan máa dàrú, ẹbí á máa dàrú, àjọṣepọ̀ máa dàrú. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì tún ní wípé ní a máa kọdí wa, kò ní jẹ́ kí a rí àǹfààní tá a fẹ́ jẹ láàrin ara wa. Àbí tá a bá ti ń jà, ṣé màá tún wá ráǹfààní kan tó mo fẹ́ ṣe fún ẹ tí màá ṣe? Àbí wọ́n náà ráǹfààní kan tó fẹ́ ṣe fún mi tí wàá ṣe? So lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ gbà in tí àánú á wá kò láàrin wa, táàánú bá dẹ̀ ti kò, kí wá là ń bá ká. So mo lérò pé àlàyé kékeré tí mo ṣe yìí ó láǹfààní kan nínú díẹ̀ àbí kékeré fún gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ń gbọ́ mi. Ọlọ́run ò ní dá gbogbo ilé tó ń tò, àwùjọ tó ń tò, ẹbí tó ń tò, Ọlọ́run ò ní dàrú. Àwọn èyí tí ó dẹ̀ tó náà, Ọlọ́run á bá wa tò, Ọlọ́run á bá wa tún ṣe. Wow, I sound so Yoruba today. For those that don't understand Yoruba, so basically that was a summary of what I've been explaining on conflict and how to understand and avoid conflict and drama, either on social media or in our lives. And we talk about Anfani Gidi Gidi Goni. Thank you so much, Alhaji Mansour. So we talk about the 3 roles that people are playing in a way of justifying and validating themselves whenever they see a conflict, right? Some people play the role of prosecutor, people play the role of victim, and also some other people play the role of rescuer, those people that fuel the conflict because they needed the conflict and the drama to continue. They enjoy it, right? But I'm saying that drama, that any conflict that degenerates into conflict will usually become the reason for separating become the reason for intimidating each other, for disrespecting each other, for disrespecting each other's dignity. Yeah. And this is not something good. So because conflict is not necessarily supposed to be something negative or something bad. Conflict could be the reason for improvement. Conflict could be the reason for advancement in our society, in our civilization, right? Because everything that we enjoy today is as a result of conflict, either in knowledge or in innovation or in technology. So that's why we want to know how to manage conflict. And how do we manage conflict? We manage it with compassion, right? We want to make sure that if you have misunderstanding with people, try to be compassionate. And how do you display compassion? You display it in 3 ways. With openness. If it's your fault, try to understand this is your fault. Be responsible. Try to apologize, because doing so does not devalue you in any way. It does not take anything away from you, right? And if you are the offended, right? So don't be a prosecutor. Try to be resourceful. Find a way of providing information and explanation for the misunderstanding. Show people what you mean that they have misconstrued or misunderstood, and be persistent. Don't just show them, don't just provide the information. Try as much as possible to show them by putting it into action, So, and that's where I'm going to stop today's session. Thank you for those that have been commenting and those that have helped us share the session. Thank you for those of you on Instagram as well. And then hopefully I am going to be seeing you all next week, Friday. That's it from me. Goodbye, everyone.